Hi guys, so I just wanted to give you an update on my continuous glucose monitoring experiment. So actually my biggest findings were, first of all, I didn't know how to really interpret these things because, these kind of things, they're made for diabetics, right? So I discovered in my app that I could actually send alarms, and they're the highest point for the highest alarm was actually set to, I think it was 300 or 250. So, if you consider that, you probably know that usually your fasting glucose is between like 80 or 90. So that's quite high, right? I hope I would never actually attain that. So I basically went into doing some more research on, because I know about fasting glucose, but I didn't really know like what's really your blood sugar spike post meal. Because basically the first 2 days after my meals, I had 120, 125. And this thing always tells me, oh, it's all good, you're in range, etc. So, I had a couple of times where I was actually surprised where I had like low blood sugar, where I went below the 70. And that was probably also a day where I had bad sleep. So, that's definitely also something to consider if you do these things, that if you don't sleep well or you're not rested well, you have a lot of stress that will definitely impact your blood sugar for sure. So that was the first day. Basically, I was a little bit wonky, basically having 120, a bit more post meals. So basically, that's too high. What you really want to aim for is almost no spike. So you want to have a nice fasting glucose between 80 and 90, or it could even be a little bit below 80. That's still fine. And then during the day, of course, your blood sugar will be a little bit higher than that. But post meal, so you would take a reading. I'm taking one reading 30 just before the meal, and then 30 minutes post meal, and then I take an hour and 2 hours after to see if my blood sugar came down. But basically, the first days I was like, oh shit, that's not good, because post-meal, what I was reading is you actually want to stay below 110, ideally. So you would actually not really have much of a spike, really. And that's ideal. So mine was too high, and I even had, on the second day, I had set my alert to 140. And I got an alert after lunch, and I was like, oh, wow. So I took the reading, and it was 149. It's like, oh, that's not good. So, of course, I've been kind of thinking about like, wow, what could that have been? So the next day, basically everything I had, because my dinner was a little bit less, and I don't have, so I usually have a small decaf after breakfast, and so this is the decaf I'm using. Coffee is known to spike your blood sugar, right? The caffeine is, and I actually had trouble with caffeine, just not feeling well, getting nausea after I had coffee, so I switched to this decaf. So it took me a while to find one that I really liked. And it's also organic, because I was also breaking out because it seems the coffee I was drinking had too many pesticides. So I had flushes in my face when I had it. So this is the coffee I've been drinking, and it's a decaf. So it's supposed to not also impact your blood sugar, because it's supposed to not have caffeine. So I did have that after lunch and breakfast, and not after dinner. So the next day, I did the same breakfast, but without the coffee. So I just had my matcha. I usually have matcha latte in the morning, and my glucose is 108, 106. Now I've been doing this like this. So yesterday I basically, so I did this the day before yesterday, and I was like, okay, it's the coffee then. The thing is also, I've been having my coffee with a little bit of oat milk. Oat milk is of course high in sugar, we know that, or pretty high. It's actually almost like a regular milk. It's, you know, regular milk has like 4.9, I think, grams of sugar, or 4.5, and oat milk has, depending on which one you buy, it will be also between 4.5 and it can even go up to 6 grams of sugar per 100 milliliter. So now the test I will be doing today is I'll be trying the coffee again, but without the oat milk, and see if that makes a difference. But another thing that was surprising to me, and I'm a little bit sad about it, is my chocolate. So this is 90% chocolate, right? And as you can see here, it does have, so per 100 grams, it does have 16 grams of carbs and only 7.3 grams of sugar. So for one piece, which is so that's one piece, you would have, that's only 0.9 grams of sugar. So it's almost nothing, even if you eat the whole piece. So I was having this, that's like a quarter of a piece, or less than half, let's say. And I had that on the day so basically the day I had this really high glucose spike of almost 150 post lunch. I had my lunch. My lunch was salad. I had some tofu and some pork sausage. So that's also something to see, because the tofu will be not as, I mean, if you would have meat or maybe fish, tofu is a little bit lighter and has probably a little bit less, it does have less protein, not probably. So that's also something to consider in that meal. So I will retest that. Maybe the amount of protein I was getting was not high enough to compensate. But basically, I had my lunch with tofu and a little bit of pork sausage. And there was also beets in my salad, which can be high sugar. But I had them again yesterday, and I did not have that because, and then I didn't have the coffee and no chocolate after lunch. So I had no glucose spike. So it wasn't the beets. But definitely the chocolate can have that impact. And so basically on that day I was having my salad with tofu and a little bit sausage, and I had for dessert coffee and a small piece of chocolate. And that's when I got the spike. So that's really been the worst. And then actually that day, I think, or another day, I had a small piece of chocolate after dinner. And then I got again a glucose, well, not as high. So I think I was at like 125 or something. So the spike was not as high, but basically the chocolate is also doing something, although it almost doesn't have any sugar. But of course, we need to consider that chocolate also does contain caffeine. So this seems to be my thing, really. Like the smallest amount of caffeine seems to really be impacting my blood sugar. And I mean, I'm not like a desserts person, or I don't really eat very sweet stuff, but I really do like this kind of coffee after a meal. So I hope I will be able to have my coffee without the oat milk. I will try that today and let you know what the results will be in the next videos. But yeah, so basically those were the first learnings from the experiments I've been doing in the past days. First, coffee, even decaf, doesn't seem to be good. It could be the oat milk though, second. Third, chocolate doesn't seem to be good, even if it's very low sugar and just a very small amount. Because I mean, that's also always what I tell you guys, right? If you have coffee for breakfast, have it after your meal. I mean, that's what I've been doing. And then it will not impact your blood sugar so much because you've been having all this food before, so it kind of melts in with all everything you've been eating and are digesting. And the same goes for the chocolate. I mean, I have it post meal, so, and also the amount, of course, always counts. Like, I mean, if I'd be eating like 2-3 pieces, sure, but I mean, okay. So I'll be playing a little bit with these in the next days, and basically give you another update on other findings I'm discovering.